చేశాను మ్యాక్సిమం 100 చేశాను
Okay.
మ్యాక్సిమం 100 right. And coming to the definition of PHP is a server-side scripting language, and it is a powerful tool for making the dynamic pages to be a dynamic and interactive web pages. Because I'm saying that PHP is a hypertext precursor, it is completely a server-side scripting language. Means you need to write the program on the server side. That is, you write on the server side. It's not the client side scripting. It's completely a server-side scripting language. Why I'm saying that it is scripting? Because it uses some tags when you're writing of your PHP, so that it is completely a scripting language. Follow some scripts. What type of scripts you need to follow? You're going to learn in coming sessions. You'll see each and every scripting language. What you are coming across with JavaScript is also one type of script. Even we had building that is virtual building scripting we had of that. We have seen in the .NET, and even in the JavaScript in Java we have come across. Even you go with your when you go with your PHP, it is also a server-side scripting language. And what is the definition of the PHP? Is completely a hypertext preprocessor. It is a server-side scripting language, and it is very powerful for it is a powerful tool for making the dynamic pages to be dynamic and interactive web page. What do you mean by dynamic? What is interactive web page? Because why I am saying it is dynamic web page? Because when you go for HTML, it is completely a static web pages. Means whatever the code you are written completely on your websites. Because the main motto of your web technology is how to create your own web pages. How to create your own web pages by collecting all these web pages and by looking all these all web pages. How to make your website? When you are making your website, you are using of the code. Whatever the code you are writing, that is completely using of your PHP or HTML or XML or CSS or even that is of your JavaScript. We have different codes, different coding languages here. But we are using that scripting language code, and we are going to develop here like whatever the website you are going to develop. When you are writing the even when you are making of your website, here when I use the word dynamic is nothing but you can change whatever the time of it. You can run it at one time also. You can change that the code, or you can change your page. Means nowadays you are looking of your because if I go with your e-commerce sites, for individual person of individual mobiles and individual smartphones on your particular login, the web page, whatever the page you are looking, whatever the frequently used, whatever the frequently viewed items will be visible to that particular person. Means dynamically for individual person, it will be interactive. The page will be interactive, individually interactive. Page to page, it varies. It means in the first person and second person, the first image of the first mobile phone and second person of second image of the second person image of the smartphone will be differs because it is the whatever the code they wrote in the particular Amazon site or Flipkart site, whatever the sites, if you are looking e-commerce sites, they are completely a dynamical and interactive web page because they are completely written on the dynamic web page, that is like a PHP. They use a code like a PHP code, or they may use even the Python also to write that. And coming to the next card, what to be the basic knowledge you need to have when you go with your PHP. The basic knowledge before you need to start your PHP. The basic knowledge you need to have is of HTML tags. What is HTML? What is body? What is head? What is title? You need to have some basic knowledge of HTML. Hypertext, that is hypertext markup language. That is that particular language also. You have some basic knowledge, and even you need to have some basic knowledge of the CSS also. If you have these two knowledges only, then only it is easy to learn, easy to get off of your PHP. Easily you can understand the PHP subject. And coming to the introduction of PHP, introduction to PHP. PHP, I said that it is definition, whatever it stands for. It is a synonym for the PHP is hypertext preprocessor. It is widely used and it is open source scripting language. It's completely free to download from the server, from the anywhere you can download it and you can use it. And scripting language is executed on server side because PHP is completely a server side scripting, so that you need to execute your scripting code, whatever the code, PHP code, you need to be executed on server side only. Server side is completely server side. And coming to the PHP files, PHP file contains some text. It may be some text type. You can type it on text. Content may be text. or it may be some HTML tags, or some CSS, or JavaScript, or even PHP code. I'll go with the even the syntax of the how to write the PHP syntax and what is the requirement data. When you go for PHP, the PHP will be executed on the server side, and the output, whatever the output, you are going to execute it onto the screen. That means the PHP code will be executed on the server side, and whatever the output, the results will be browsed. Means it will be stored on the browser. The browser will be of a plain HTML. The plain HTML, the output will be written back onto the plain HTML. Means when you're writing your PHP, the PHP code will be executed on the server side, and the results or the output will be written back onto the browser. That browser may be a Chrome browser or Internet Explorer, whatever the browser you are using now, that will be executed. That will be shown onto the HTML, the plain HTML format. When you are writing the PHP, we are using the PHP code. Each and every page means each and every code need to be stored. Means whatever the code you are in the first program, if you are saying the program need to be stored with the extension of .php file. Means for example, if I write, for example, if I want to execute an hello world example, hello world, I want to print it out. If I want to print hello world, then I need to save as hello world.php or file name, that is file name one.php. That extension should be, the file name should be extended with the .php. Then only it says that, like when you go with your C language, you are stored with some .c. When you go for your C++, you are using the .c++. When you go with your Java, you are use some Java. In the same way, when you go for a PHP, you need to extend with the .php as a code. When you go with that, you write with the file name dot extension. That is, extension may be .php. Now coming to the PHP, where the PHP can do, what can PHP do? What can PHP do? PHP can generate the dynamic web pages, what I said. PHP can create, you can create your pages, you can open your pages, or you can write, or you can read, or you can delete, or you can close the files on the server side. If I use PHP on the server side, then from the server side, I'm saying it's completely a server side. So that it is completely, you can create a file, you can open a file, or you can read a file, you can write a file, you can delete a file, or you can close a file on the server side. And PHP is a collection of forms. Means there are forms validations. Means when you go with simple example, if I give, when you go with your Gmail accounts or Facebook account or WhatsApp account, nowadays you are getting of, when you are logging, you are getting of some login account, that is you need to sign up. When you are signing up, you need to give some details. Means your name, your first name, last name, and your date of birth, whether you are male or gender, that is type of gender. You are writing everything. It will be specified. After that, some conditions will be given. That is, it is required, some requirements. Then after that, you are going to select, that is conditions, terms and conditions. If you say okay, then you can log in. Then you are logging, means you are logging out. When you are logging, form validation is going to be checked. Means your username and password. Whatever the username, whatever the password, that it is going to be validated. Whether the same, if there is the same form, means same user, the same username. For example, if the type is Satish.Nagavarku@gmail.com. If the same one more with Satish.Nagavarku, it says that already available. The type of name in that username is already available. It says that this form validation checking for means the particular user, whatever the username, it is already used by some experts. It gives them. Even when you go for your PHP sends and receives the cookies. What is meant by cookies? Cookie is nothing but a piece of code. Whatever the piece of code you are writing, is a piece of code which is stored on the client side. The site, whatever the data, whatever the information, whatever the history, whatever the type of page you are open, it is going to be stored on the client side. The client side, a piece of code, whatever it is stored on the side availability of the client side, do nothing but this, we can make it out using PHP also. You can send and receive the cookies from PHP. You can do it. PHP can add or delete or modify data in your database also. By using PHP, we can modify the data, we can delete the data, we can add the data, we can update the data inside the database also. Is possible by using PHP. PHP can be used to control the user access. Means from the client side, we can control that also. That can be done. And PHP can be encrypted data. That is the data which is there. The data can be encrypted. We can encrypt the data. Means somewhat 100% we can say that it is completely secure. can be encrypted, the data can be encrypted, can be considered as encrypted data. It can be encrypted data. Right. And coming to the madam, hello madam, hello, hello, madam.
సార్ సతీష్ సార్ చెప్పండి.
ఉన్నారా ఉన్నారా
ఉన్నా
పిల్లలు
ఉన్నా
ఉంటారు రైట్ పిల్లలు ఉన్నారు
ఉన్నది. ఏ స్లైడ్
ఓకే
పెట్టమంటారు?
లేదు చూస్తున్నా మేడం ఇక నేను
ఓకే,
నాకు 16 స్లైడ్ పెట్టండి 16
16. ఫైన్ ఫైన్ సార్. యా.
okay right with PHP you are not limited to the output
Yeah.
HTML because with the PHP you are not limited to output means you can give the number of code you can write it out. It may be the output can be maybe a image, maybe a PDF, it may be some movie flash means like when you move it when you are going with the some websites you are going to look it out some images will be shown advertisements like your advertisements some PDF files you can show it out even some flash messages or flash movies related information you can show it out you can using your HTML that is with your PHP you can do whatever the code you can write and you can it is not limited you can write huge in the size of the code you can write and you can execute it output as output scale in the form of HTML. The output will be stored in only basic HTML, that is a plain HTML is going to be shown. It will not show in the PHP format because the PHP is completely server side asset. And even when you can also show the output on the text such as XHTML or XML also. You can show it using PHP also. You are using HTML. That is XHTML is nothing but extendable hypertext markup language, and even that is extendable markup language. These two also you can use when you are writing of your PHP also is possible to say. Right. Coming to the PHP runs on different platforms. You can run it on, you can use it on Windows, you can use it in Linux, you can use it on Unix, you can use it on Mac OS, Android OS. You can use whatever the platform may be. It may be of whatever may be the operating system. It may be you can run it on different platforms. In different platforms, it is compatible with almost all the servers used today. Whatever the Apache server, IIS server, that is MyEclipse, whatever servers you have, PHP will support all the types of servers. Almost all the servers it will support when you go with your PHP. PHP will be supports by wide range of databases like your Oracle, IBM, that is of your MySQL, or even the even we had a different Sybase. We had even it will be supported by the PHP. PHP is free to download from the official site. It is www.php.net is a site name. You can download it directly. It is an official site. It is free of site and easily you can learn the PHP and you can run it efficiently. You can use it on your PHP on the server side, not it is in the client side. It is completely a server side. Why I'm stressing on server side because when you go with your HTML is completely a client-side scripting language. When you go with your third unit, that is of your 15 JavaScript is completely a scripting language, which is of client-side scripting language. You can say it. Right. Coming to the syntax, what to be a syntax required? When you go with your languages like your C, C++, Java, or if you go with your whatever the language, it has some rules. Means what? Some syntaxes, some means some rules you need to follow, some meaningful syntax, some meaningful rules you need to follow when you are writing of your PHP. That basic syntax is when you are writing PHP, you can write anywhere because PHP is not fixed to the position. You need to start at the starting, at the ending of the page. You can write in the page, you can write the code anywhere in the whatever the page, whatever the notepad you are open, or whatever the edit plus you are open. You can write anywhere. The code you can write anywhere, but when you are saving, the file name need to be saved with .php. You need to save it. File name by default, whatever the file name you want to write, you can write your file name dot with PHP. You need to save. When you are writing the PHP, what to be starting? What is the starting and what is the ending? When you are starting, the starting of the PHP need to be that is less than symbol followed by question mark, and next is PHP. The word PHP should be a small case letter. Should be a less than symbol, angular bracket, that is angular brace with the question mark, and PHP is started. Inside you can write the code, whatever the code you need to write, you can write your code, and you need to close with ending of the PHP should be question mark with the greater than symbol, that is angular, whatever the angular angle bracket, we are using angle bracket, we are using it is greater than symbol. Yes. When you are writing inside this, the code will be executed. The code you have written inside will be considered as a PHP code. Whatever the less than symbol, question mark with PHP, and whatever you have wrote inside that will be of PHP code, and ending of the question mark with the greater than symbol. Inside means whatever the less than symbol with PHP and ending with the question mark with the greater than symbol. Inside that part will be coming as PHP, right? And coming to the next slide, coming to the next movement, next slide. If I go with an example, because I showed you an example, you'll get an idea. Because PHP is completely scripting language, I said. PHP is a server-side scripting language. When you go with PHP, you can use some HTML tags, I said. You can use some CSS, CSS, I said. Even you can use your JavaScript also, I said. When you go with your PHP, that is 20th century, 20th, 20, 20, 20th slide, 20th slide. Coming to the PHP, in that I wrote the PHP code. Once if you look into this code, the code of line number, the right side you had of the PHP greater than symbol, that is sorry, PHP in that I wrote less than symbol question mark with PHP echo hello world close, that is of question mark with greater than symbol I wrote. This part is I wrote inside the HTML, that is HTML code. HTML. Inside HTML, I wrote PHP. It is not mandatory that you need to write inside the HTML or outside of the HTML. A good programmer will always write the PHP code inside the HTML code so that it will be clear where the code is started and where the code is ended. When I go with the HTML code, when you because if you had an idea, no problem. If there is no idea, you need to have you need to know something, the basic knowledge of HTML you need to have. The first tag, whatever the tag, we call as a tag or element. Generally we call as an element or a tag. When you go with this angle bracket, that is less than symbol, HTML, and close the HTML. It may be a small case letter, it may be in a capital letters, whatever may be. It's not mandatory. But a good programmer will use only basic, that is of small case letters, right? And you are writing this is the starting of your tag. That is the beginning. Like in your C language, when you go with that, your C language, you are writing the main. Before that, you are writing some pre-processor, that is delimiters, like a pre-processor hash symbol with the hash symbol with the include str.h, find.h, str.h, io.h. You are written some preprocessors. The same way, when you go with your HTML, we are writing HTML. Inside that, we have two parts. One is of body, one is of head, and second one is of body. You can write your body or head. It's not at all mandatory. But when you are writing body, I wrote the body. Inside, I use the body with H1. This H1 is a heading 1. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 tags. I wrote H1. My first PHP page I wrote, and I started with PHP echo. When you go with your C, C++, Java, you are writing. When you are writing C, you are writing a printer function to get out the output string. In your PHP, you are using echo. Echo is nothing but a print statement. Print statement in your PHP. Echo is nothing but a print output function for your PHP. We are using echo. Echo may be small case letter or uppercase letter, whatever may be. Not a condition that you write the small case letter or uppercase letter. Not better, right? When you are writing, this gives that output. To get out the output, you are using as echo. When you go with your Java, you are using like system.out.println in your Java. When you go with your PHP, we are using as echo. Echo indicates output to display the output screen. Right. I wrote that echo hello world and I close the body, I close the HTML. Because when you are opened HTML, you need to close your HTML. When you are open some tag, you need to close the tag. Even though if you are not closed, it will not affect. But a good programmer will always use this. Means when it is open, you need to close. When you are open some file, you need to close. If you are doing some work, you need to end of that work. It should not be closed, should not be end, it should not be dropped at the middle of the program. Means you need to close the code at the end. You know, try the close. By when you are writing the starting of the code, I not use any slash backslash. But when you are closing of the tag, I'm closing that body that is body with the slash with body, hash with HTML. This indicates that This indicates that end of the body, end of the HTML. This is about the basic. The output you are getting of my first PHP page output you got done. Second line you got a hello world. Means the result. What are the results you got it of? That is my first PHP page. It is in bold and with a heading with a long in. It is of big in size. If I use H2, the size of H1 and H2 will be slightly less. H2 will be slightly less when compared with H1. If you go with H3, these type of headings we call as H1, H2, H3 till H6 we had. These are set to be an headings. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6. Maximum 6 headings of the length of the size of every headings of the particular tag we had of heading tags we had H1 to H6. We are closing even H1 and even we are closed H1 by slash with H1. We are using of the tags when you go with your HTML. And coming to the next slide, comments in PHP. Even in your come across with your Java, C or C++, or even Python, for every code we have a comment. Because why we are using comments? Because when you write some code, when you are writing some code, after leaving the company, if you are leaving from the company, when I use if some other person comes and look into your code, you'll get an idea by looking of the comments. What are the comments you have wrote? Means what logic, what type of procedure you have followed, what way you are entered into the program, what way whatever the technique, whatever the procedure you have followed. It is going to be viewed when you go with your comments. Comments you need to represent. Comments are required when you're writing the code because I wrote the comments like when I use comments, I use double slash. This line is for the single line comment. If I use slash, that is slash slash. 2 lines if I use, two backward slashes if I use, two backward slashes if I use, that is said to be a single comment. If I use hash symbol, even in your C language you come across, this is like a hash symbol you use for a single line commit. When you go with multi lines, if I want to use in PHP, then I need to use slash with